Hey guys, so yesterday I arrived back in Berlin and I had just spent about a week home, just visiting family, spending time and catching up with them, as well as also like gathering my thoughts after quite a tough final. But then last night I arrived and I went to the cinema to watch it too. It's quite a horror movie. Don't watch it if you're too young, but if you're older you can probably go watch it because Miki and Perks were at the house and Reckless came along as well, so we just went to watch the movie. Um, and now I'm back in Berlin. I'm gonna prepare for boot camp we're gonna have here in about a week, and then we're just gonna prepare for Worlds, right? So I want to make sure that I'm at top shape once my boot camp comes, and even better shape at during Worlds. Um, but but that's not really what I want to talk about today. So I want to talk about the final as well as like looking into Worlds. Um, it's it's pretty obvious, I think, that that this final against Fnatic was probably the toughest final I've played in the EU at least, and it was both pretty tough in the sense that it went kind of 5 games, and even the fifth game was back and forth. But it was also like pretty tough mentally, just because I played against my old team, my old teammates, and these are people that I've spent 2 years of my life with. And something that people might not realize as well is that when you're like a pro gamer, you're with someone 24/7. So 2 years might even feel like even more time than normally. So it was definitely someone that I knew very well and someone that I had a lot of fun with, and I've been through a lot with, both positives and negatives. So seeing them lose was a pretty weird feeling, just because it felt wrong. Normally I would be sad with them, I would be happy with them, and after like a final like that, I obviously want to celebrate. I was like, we beat them, in such a close series and like such an important match as well, that I was very excited. But then once I saw the face of basically all of Fnatic, it kind of made me feel off, because I wanted to celebrate, but then I see them and they're not celebrating, obviously, and it felt wrong. But I'm not really sure what to go with it. It just felt wrong, and I'm just excited for what we can show and what they can show at Worlds, because they obviously played really really well. They pushed us to like our utmost limit, and I think we are a really strong team in the world, and I think so will they be. And once Worlds comes around, I think both of us are gonna have a really strong performance, and I hope that we can meet in the final in Paris. But yeah, we're gonna have to both show up really big time if that's the case. And also I just want to talk about like the actual series, like the gameplay wise, because I've played against a lot of people at this point. I obviously played against Vega, I played against the best Chinese teams, the best Korean teams, over multiple years. And obviously there's some teams that are just very insane and it's hard to play against, but I've never felt like super personally invested in it as I felt this series. Just going in right from game like level 1, I felt personally attached to like their level 1s and stuff like that, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't get like a huge advantage, or I knew a lot about how they think like behind the scenes, so I was trying maybe too hard, and not like focusing too much on my own gameplay, but focusing more on them and what they do, because I just know them very well, right? And I want to make sure that their plan didn't work instead of just focusing on my own. And I think that was like a huge problem in our early couple of games against them. I think I was too reactive. Not necessarily reactive, but I was trying too hard to deny them from doing what they want to do. I think in the later couple of games, like game 4 and 5, I started just doing our game plan. Like game 5, we obviously went for the mage spot with like a Renekton mid, and I just tried to execute like our own game plan, instead of just following them around the map. Obviously they want to have a bunch of not team fights, but like skirmishes very early in the game, where they really like teleporting bot, they like teleporting top, they like to level 1 invade, level 2, 3 invade. These are things they have done very often, and I didn't want to let them get away with it. I want to like let's say like game 3 for example, I want to like fight them level 1 to death, and same thing from like teleporting bot and stuff like this. And it was fine, but it just didn't really like work out quite in our favor. I think we had a lot more success when I did, and we did like our own game plan. But it just felt weird, right? Because again, I kind of knew exactly what they wanted to do, and yeah, I didn't want to like let them get away with it. It's a weird. It's always been weird playing against like both my teammates and now again former teammates. It's not something I really tried before. Usually I only play against teammates in solo queue, and obviously if I play against someone in solo queue, then I'm gonna try really hard to kill them, because it's always fun if you kill someone that you know, instead of just killing like people you don't actually know anything about. So obviously there's gonna be like some targets on them to get them down. I guess it's kind of like the personal meme that came around in like Spring Split last year, where I think it was Yankas who was like, it's personal, and I was like trying really hard to get like a kill, and I think it was Broxor and it was something, but it is personal, you know, it is, and it makes the game very weird, because it's never personal. Like solo queue is, I mean, you guys play a lot of solo queue, I assume, right? So you guys know that it's always just like random people. Obviously when you get higher, you start playing against the same kind of people, but it's still random people, you know. You never really met most of them. Maybe you wrote a few words with them or here and there, but it's just very different when you actually get to play on a team with them, and not just play on a team with them, but play on a team for like 2 years. And obviously we went World twice. We lost at MSI, we lost at Worlds. We went through a lot of like hardships. I think even in 2017 we lost in Europe, you know. So it was like a long road, and something that I always admired about our team was that we always got stronger, you know. We finished third the first couple of splits, then we started finishing first instead, and same for like Worlds was something that we did fine at MSI. We first in 2017, but we had like the miracle run, but like we barely got out that group, which, I mean, it was a fine group, but it was like us, Gam, Longsu, and Immortals, and we should be able to take down teams like Immortals and Gam. Even if we weren't strong enough to take Longsu, we should at least be able to take them down consistently, and we weren't really able to. That's why we had to do like the whole miracle run. But in 2018 we really stepped it up. We obviously came second at Worlds, and we had a very good Worlds, I would say. Our group stage we beat IG, and just our series we were doing really well against both EG and Cloud9. So if we just had one more good best of 5, we could have been world champions, but that's life. Yeah. Also, just looking at like the first series we played against them was obviously a reverse sweep, and I'm sure they weren't very happy after that. But I think they didn't mind in the same sense, just because they knew that, and everyone knew that next week would be a final between us and Fnatic. I think no one expected Schalke to make it all the way, so they even if they got a reverse swept, so to say, they still knew that they were going to face us in the final, and if anything, they just like got blood on their teeth, or whatever the saying is, as they took 2 games of us, and they were so close to taking us down. So I'm sure they just got even more motivated than necessarily like thrown out or sad. But and I mean, they showed up in the finals, all right. They showed up even bigger time than the semi-final. I think the semi-final, they kind of caught us off guard by the level of play, and also some of the champions they were picking were champions we weren't necessarily practiced against, so they threw us off in that sense. But once the final came around, we had already like adapted to all their picks, already adapted to the level of play. You could see that in game 3, 4, 5, where game 3 we not really, but game 4 and 5 were pretty convincing wins in the semi-final. So I was really surprised when I actually saw their level of play in the final, because in 1 week they managed to not just step it up, but they also managed to add a bunch of new champions, and I was pretty impressed with that. I think not necessarily like the bouncing back mentally after like a series like that, because it was close, but picking up new picks, picking up new ways of playing is pretty good of them in 1 week, and it's definitely something that's a very important trait coming into stuff like MSI Worlds, right? And that's probably why we did so good last year as well. It's something that we are also pretty good at, and I'm pretty excited to see if we can make a run at the Worlds. And if we want to like compete against Fnatic, so to say, who can make it further, maybe meet in the final, that would be awesome. So thank you guys for watching. This has been like a bit of a weird video, I would say. I've never really done much content where I like put myself out there that much, but something I realized a lot of people have been asking, and I could understand, is that a lot of people want to hear my thoughts on not just like, I mean, basically everything, right? And especially important things like Worlds and LEC, and I want to give my thoughts. I'm not really sure exactly how to share them though, and I'm trying out this video today, and I hope you guys like it. If you do, then feel free to like it and subscribe, and tell me as well that you enjoy it. If there's certain parts you didn't like, or if there's certain parts that you really enjoyed, you feel free to comment as well. I might start doing more stuff like that. It kind of like just depends. Like obviously we have an off season right now, so like a week off, so it's pretty easy to do videos like this right now. But looking forward, it's gonna be harder. If you guys want any of my thoughts during Worlds, maybe that could be interesting as well. But feel free to write at me, or just in the comments here, and and tell me what you want to see in the future. But other than that, I'm gonna be out. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.